Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. Today we're going to be discussing the best AMD gaming laptops on the market so far, a culmination of all of our testing of AMD's Ryzen Mobile 4000 H series processors and the various laptops that they are found in. Judging by the reception, it sounds like a lot of you guys are really appreciating our in-depth look at 2020's mobile hardware, so it's time to make some recommendations on hardware that you should consider buying. These recommendations are based on a number of factors. We've been fortunate enough to test a number of these options in depth ourselves, but right now not everything is available locally for review, so to strengthen this video we've spoken to a few other YouTubers that have had hands-on time with other laptops, including the wonderful Jared's Tech. Links to his channel are in the description below. We've also looked at every laptop in most available configurations, assessing all hardware options to see what products out there offer the best value using the US market as a baseline. This video will be split into 3 sections based on price segments. We'll look at the upper range of AMD laptop pricing, which right now is more like the mid-range of the laptop market overall. Then we'll look at mid-tier options in the AMD pricing segments, and then we'll settle in and have a look across the entry-level configurations. Before that though, I think it's important to go through the strengths and weaknesses of AMD's Ryzen Mobile 4000 H series APUs as a whole, so you have a good idea as to whether an AMD laptop is the best choice for you, because while this is a very strong series of processors, there are some situations where an Intel system might be a better choice. The main area where AMD really pulls ahead of the competition is in productivity performance, especially multi-threaded productivity. The Ryzen 7 4800H is up to 70% faster than the Core i7 10750H in some workloads, offering at least 50% better performance for tasks like handbrake video encoding and around 30% better performance for, say, code compilation. The Ryzen 5 4600H is also faster than the 10750H in most instances outside of single-thread performance, while absolutely destroying Intel's Core i5 quad-core line. AMD's latest APUs are also more efficient, which has a number of benefits. The big one is battery life. AMD-based laptops can do more with the energy available in the device's battery, allowing for more performance within a charge or more time at idle, which lengthens battery life. While gaming laptops aren't known for their stellar battery life, you can expect, say, longer video playback times with an AMD machine, for instance. And for a given level of performance, an AMD system will usually be either cooler or quieter, depending on the cooling system on offer. Even if better productivity performance isn't key for you, you should be able to achieve Intel-like performance with a near silent system in heavy tasks. However, for pure gaming, an Intel machine can be faster with an equivalent GPU configuration. In our direct comparison between two laptops of the same design, the Intel system was 5 to 10% faster in games, even at ultra settings. This could be a factor that sways you towards an Intel machine, especially if you'll only be using it for gaming and pricing is similar, although AMD configurations are usually a bit cheaper. For mixed workloads, maybe a bit of gaming, bit of web browsing, and a bit of productivity, AMD is generally a much better option. So let's start with the best high-end AMD laptop configuration. Again, as AMD laptops tend to top out with RTX 2060 GPU configurations, this is more like a mid-range laptop when you consider the market overall. But that shouldn't be off-putting, as there is still great performance and excellent value on offer here. The two main contenders in the top-end space right now are the Asus TUF Gaming A15 and the Electronics RP15 or XMG Core 15 or whatever OEM branding for this Tongfang chassis is available in your location. Eventually, we expect the A15 and RP15 to be joined by RTX 2060 models of the HP Omen 15 and also the Lenovo Legion 5, but currently they aren't widely available to our knowledge. Of the current offerings, the Electronics RP15 or XMG Core 15 is clearly the better laptop. It is a bit more expensive than the TUF Gaming A15 at $1,250 versus $1,200, but for that extra $50 you do get so much more. The Core 15, the model we tested, is clearly the best overall AMD laptop on the market in our opinion, so this is an easy decision. Why is it better? Well, firstly, it's capable of higher CPU performance. While the A15 maxes out at a 45 watt power limit long term on the CPU, the RP15 pushes up to 72 watts, which in practice delivers 10% better performance and gets this laptop quite close to a desktop Ryzen 7 3700X. The GPU is also faster with its 110 watt power limit versus 90 watts, which allows for a small performance advantage in games too. The RP15 can push up to these power limits because of its overall superior cooling design. The ASUS TUF A15's cooler is very limited, and depending on the ambient temperature gets close to thermally throttling, especially in games. I did not see any such problems with the RP15/XMG Core 15 with lower CPU temperatures and higher CPU clock speeds in titles like Watch Dogs 2. Noise levels though are similar. On top of this, the RP15 features a much better display. Both options come configured with 1080p 144Hz IPS screens on paper, but the RP15 uses a BOE panel compared to a Panda panel on the A15. The end result is about 3 times better response times on the RP15, as well as full sRGB gamut coverage, which the ASUS model does not offer. This BOE panel is far superior for both content creation and gaming, and given the display is very difficult to upgrade, it's worth buying a laptop that has a good one by default. XMG, Electronics, or Tongfang may not be household names compared to something like ASUS, but the results don't lie. For just $50 more, you'll be getting a more rounded, more capable product. It's the best high-end AMD gaming laptop on the market right now. Also worth considering is the ASUS ROG Zephyrus G14 and its larger brother, the G15. While not pure gaming laptops, the G14 in particular is an excellent choice for a highly portable yet powerful machine. It packs up to a Ryzen 9 4900HS and RTX 2060 Max-Q GPU, offering unheard of performance in a 14-inch form factor. Yes, you won't be getting the performance of the larger 15-inch systems we've just been talking about, especially on the GPU side, but the 4900HS does get very close to the 4800H in practice. It falls slightly behind due to its 35-watt power limit versus 45-watt and above that you can get with the 4800H. There are also a few other drawbacks, like the display's response times and the cooler's tendency to run a bit hot, but at $1,400 I think some of those trade-offs are worth it for the performance available in this form factor, although I'd be more inclined to recommend it for productivity users than pure gamers. In my opinion, the hardest market segment to make a recommendation in right now is the mid-range. There's a glut of offerings in here competing with similar hardware, but no real standouts offering the best buy between $900 and $1,100 or so. So let's run through what's available, what you should consider, and what you shouldn't. There are 2 laptops that can be dismissed from contention quite easily. One is the ASUS TUF Gaming A15, which as we've talked about, does have some serious downsides. While the 1660 Ti option does look compelling on a spec sheet for just $1,000, it runs hot, loud, and has a woeful display. The other laptop I wouldn't consider is the MSI Bravo 15. It too, judging by several reviews, runs very hot and loud, with mediocre performance and many of the same display issues as the ASUS model. MSI have also gone to the school of blocking up the intake vents, which as we've shown in our comprehensive analysis of the ASUS TUF A15 is a poor design choice. It is a bit cheaper at closer to $900, but the GPU is very lackluster, topping out at just an AMD Radeon RX 5500M, so I'd steer clear of this one. One laptop in the price category I've just been testing recently is the Lenovo Legion 5, which I actually think is quite a good design. There are plenty of strengths here, one of which is CPU performance. Using the performance mode, Lenovo allows the CPU to push up to 65 watts of power, which like the XMG Core 15, gives you that performance edge over other laptops in CPU-limited productivity tasks. And it offers this with outstanding thermal performance, running cooler and much quieter than other laptops I've tested in workloads like Handbrake. It also has a nice design with a great keyboard, and there are decent display options. The 60Hz option is a bit cheaper and has full sRGB coverage, which is perfect for those after a productivity system. Meanwhile, the 144Hz display option is a high quality panel suitable for gaming. However, I would avoid the basic 120Hz option if possible. It really is worth the upgrade. My main issue with the Legion 5 right now is the price it's retailing for with its given configuration. The absolute cheapest model right now is $900, and for that you're getting just a Ryzen 5 4600H, 8GB of RAM, the low quality 120Hz display option, and a GTX 1650 GPU. If you want a 4800H, you're facing nearly a $1,000 asking price, and that's with the same memory and display configuration. That's just far too much for this sort of hardware. If Lenovo could offer their 1660 Ti configuration when it's released for $1,000 to $1,100 with a decent display and other specs, then they could be onto a winner, but I just cannot recommend the system as it's currently offered at its price configuration. The main reason for this is that around $900 I'd be swaying towards the Dell G5 SE. Now, I don't think this is a particularly amazing laptop by any stretch. I actually find it really hard to recommend any of the options around this price point, but it does have the best set of hardware. $950 right now gets you the Ryzen 7 4800H, RX 5600M GPU, 8GB of RAM, and a 144Hz display, which all things considered is a pretty good deal. Jared's Tech recently showed in his comprehensive investigation that the Radeon RX 5600M is similar in terms of average performance to the GTX 1660 Ti, which immediately makes it a better choice than 1650 GPU options around this price. It also means we're getting similar bang for buck as the Asus TUF Gaming A15, but with a better display as it comes with a decent quality 144Hz option from BOE compared to the rubbish Panda panel that Asus chose to use. That said, the thermal solution is not great. It doesn't run egregiously loud, but it does run hot, with Dell going with their usual mantra of allowing components to run at 100 degrees Celsius. The design is also pretty dated in my opinion, especially compared to most other Ryzen laptops. So those are two considerations and why I'm hesitant to give it a strong recommendation. The other way I'd go is to spend a little bit more and grab the HP Omen 15, which is a really competently designed laptop. Excellent cooling solution, which allows the Ryzen 7 4800H to push a little bit above its stock settings, with sustained power draw around 53 watts. With the GTX 1660 Ti at 80 watts, the cooler doesn't get all that hot or loud according to plenty of reviews, and the display is an LG 144Hz IPS panel, one of the better gaming panels going around, so it's good to see HP paying attention to that too. The configuration I'd be looking at retails for $1,050, packing a Ryzen 7 4800H, GeForce GTX 1660 Ti, 8GB of RAM and 512GB of SSD storage, plus the aforementioned 144Hz display. I'd also consider a do-it-yourself upgrade to 16GB of RAM for about $50, rather than going all the way up to the $1,150 configuration. That places the total system cost at $1,050 to $1,100 depending on what RAM you end up with, and I think that's a fair price. Yes, it's 10% more expensive than the Asus TUF Gaming A15, but that's for the same hardware configuration with the two major flaws of the A15 resolved. You get a much better cooler and a much better display. To me, that is easily worth the asking price and spending that little bit more. Can't afford $1,100? Well, there's still the Dell G5 Special Edition, as I talked about before. At the same time, I don't feel any of these mid-range options deliver stellar value. The HP Omen 15 looks to be a great design, but in a decent configuration ends up just $100 to $150 less than the Electronics RP15, a faster laptop with its RTX 2060 GPU. Meanwhile, the Dell G5 SE is probably a bit more compromised than I'd like to see, although its price to performance ratio is decent. Buyers with around $1,000 to spend on a Ryzen laptop have a tough decision to make, and ultimately, the best path may be to wait for a bit of a sale. The final category is very straightforward, but also the category where unfortunately we have limited hard data on right now. That's because the clear entry-level choice is the Acer Nitro 5, yet it's not available in Australia yet, so we haven't been able to test it. With that said, those in the United States are treated to a very compelling feature set for just $660 US. You're getting the Ryzen 5 4600H, GTX 1650 GPU and 8GB of RAM with a basic 1080p 60Hz display. Nothing here will set the world on fire, but at its price tag, this is a pretty hard laptop to beat, with most other GTX 1650 laptops offering these specs for $800 plus. And a couple of tests I've seen suggest that while limited SSD space and a mediocre display are some of the drawbacks, the performance on offer is good. I'm hoping to get more hands-on time with the Nitro 5 when it lands in Australia later this year, but currently it's really hard to ignore that value proposition, and I hope we see a few other manufacturers try to hit a sub $700 price point with the Ryzen 5 4600H. So that's pretty much it for this video. My main recommendations are as follows. At $1,200 plus, the clear best AMD gaming laptop right now is the Electronics RP15/XMG Core 15/whatever other OEM version of this laptop you can find. The Asus ROG Zephyrus G14 is also worth considering if you need something more portable. For around $1,100, the HP Omen 15 is a great buy, as like the RP15, it's received serious engineering attention. For those that don't have quite that money, I'd tentatively consider the Dell G5 SE, although really the Omen and RP15 are better laptops, so it might be worth saving a few more pennies. Then at basically any price below $900, you may as well just grab the Acer Nitro 5, which offers seriously good hardware at that price. In fact, it's rare that I would ever suggest to buy a gaming laptop in this tier, but here we are, Acer looks to be offering the goods. It's also clear that this is the best collection of AMD gaming laptops we've had on the market yet. That's no surprise, the Ryzen 7 3750H from the previous generation wasn't a very good processor, so companies tended to stick it in their crappiest, lowest end designs and call it a day. But with Ryzen 4000, most of the major OEMs have realized that actually there is something here with Ryzen 4000 and it's worth putting them in a decent mid-range chassis. As I see it, there are still two holes in the market that need filling. One is a great value $1,000 option that really sets itself apart from those around it. I'm thinking something like an Omen 15, but just that little bit cheaper to stamp its authority in that price category. The other is, of course, higher end machines, especially those with an RTX 2070 or RTX 2070 Super, which I think would sell quite well given the RTX 2060 just isn't powerful enough for some buyers. There are no signs of a system like this coming to market anytime soon though, and that's still disappointing. And I'd just like to close this one out by commenting on the next gen GPU situation. I've seen a few people saying they might wait until the next generation of mobile GPUs before buying, but it doesn't sound like this is happening anytime soon, especially on the Nvidia side, so you might be waiting until 2021 for that sort of hardware to materialize, despite desktop upgrades happening in the next few months or so. And for a lot of people, waiting that sort of time is not really going to be suitable, especially if you need a laptop throughout the rest of 2020. Anyway, that's it for this investigation into the best AMD Ryzen gaming laptops on the market today. I hope this has covered all the different things you might be looking for, whether that's best bang for buck, best performance, or just generally wanted to know what sort of laptops are worth it on the market at the moment. Big shout out to Jared's Tech, who did help me with a few of the laptops that I didn't get to cover myself. His testing is very good, very valuable, so it's definitely worth checking out his channel. Again, links to that in the description below. In the description below, you'll also find links to stuff like our Patreon page, where you can sign up and get access to our monthly live streams, Discord chat, behind the scenes videos, and you get to support the channel and all the testing that we do. I'd also recommend subscribing because there is a lot more laptop coverage coming up soon with investigations into the rest of the AMD U-series lineup that we haven't been able to get to yet. Also, Intel Tiger Lake is just around the corner, so plenty of exciting stuff coming up on the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.